Now, are Africa's rich natural resources benefiting or hurting the continent? Well, that was a recent topic of discussion at the Washington-based think tank, the United States Institute of Peace.
Diamonds and oil are found in abundance in countries such as Sierra Leone and Nigeria. But the consensus here is that citizens have not benefited from these resources. Panelist Nancy Birdsell is with the Center for Global Development in Washington.
So many developing countries subject to this curse. It's not just Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea, Ghana, it's now Uganda. It's not just Africa, it's Azerbaijan, it's Venezuela, it's Bolivia, Yemen.
This recent discussion concluded that resources are often plundered at the expense of peace and future generations. Oxford University professor Paul Collier says conflicts arise because governments abuse their national assets.
That process of expropriation opens up a whole array of dysfunctional variants, many of which are violent. This is the violent contest for control of resources that have no natural owners other than the collectivity.
Raymond Gilpin of the United States Institute of Peace.
We generally think about resources and think primarily about conflict and instability, but we want to shift the debate to ways to ensure that we start thinking about resources and peace promotion.
The panelists say there is still a lot of undiscovered wealth on the continent. Paul Collier says instability aside, governments need to invest in the discovery process, tax extraction companies, and reinvest resource revenue locally. He says there are ways governments can avoid outbreaks of violence, such as that in Nigeria's oil-rich Niger Delta.
One is a credible commitment to generous compensation for any costs in the extraction process. And the other is a transparent commitment to use the revenues for the children of the country nationally, investing in the future of the economy.
Another important concept discussed here was critical mass.
Critical mass means people who are citizens of a resource-rich country who will be available and willing to expand the public discourse about creative ways to ensure that the rents and the resources are used not just for the current generation, but to ensure the viability of future generations.
We have to think in terms of the 21st century global system, in which it's not right anymore to be wedded to the 19th century idea of sovereignty, which is that whatever government is in power is in charge. In fact, we want the people to be sovereign.
Not all resource-rich countries are guilty of plunder, Collier says, citing Botswana as a success story.
It's an upper middle income country on the back of diamonds. So the same natural resource which has been so disastrous in Sierra Leone, in Botswana has been used, harnessed for transformation. So African countries can do it.
It's not going to happen overnight, but actually starting the discussion and engaging policymakers along these lines is critical.